Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated, and this, may the Lord our God have mercy on us all, is the new Irish content for Kaiserreich, released over the weekend, over Easter weekend, to coincide with the anniversary of the 1916 Rising. Kaiserreich is a very popular mod for Hearts of Iron 4 set in an alternate reality, an alternate timeline, in which Germany did not lose the First World War. I'm not too sure if they won the war outright, but they did not lose. And this has had dramatic consequences. In Ireland, the IRA won the War of Independence, effectively. There was no civil war. So in 1936, we find a 32-county Irish Republic led by Michael Collins, looking a lot like Grunkle Stan. So I'm going to take on the role of Michael Collins, President of the Republic. And I'm going to do a pretty straightforward playthrough. Well, the goal is to do a straightforward playthrough. I'm going to start as Michael Collins, and hopefully I'm going to finish as Michael Collins. No Gorodo Cunagoin for you on this playthrough. So here we have a spate of history, reams and reams and reams of history. Where I will start is, I'm going to group the army together. I'll change those templates shortly, but you know what? This is where we'll start. I haven't been able to figure out how to turn off edge scroll. I can turn off edge scroll, but then I can't use the arrow keys to move around the map. The other thing I forgot to mention actually is that you will see up here in the corner, you will not see an eyeball, so that'll tell you some of the DLC. I actually don't think I have very much DLC for Hearts of Iron 4. I don't have a huge amount of experience with Hearts of Iron, so if there's anything that I am doing wrong or could be doing more efficiently, please do drop it in the comment section below. Here is a look at our military, and at some of our commanders. Now, everyone tends to immediately appoint Tom Barry, because he's at the top of the list. I'm going to appoint Tom Barry because I know who he is. So we have, he's a hillfighter, a trickster, infantry leader, and war hero. Some very apt titles. We can give him a new trait. He does not start, or he can get ambusher. So that would be probably appropriate. Whether it be useful or not, I'm not too sure. We have Daniel McKenna, J.J. Ginger O'Connell, who went with the Free State during the Irish Civil War and whose arrest or whose capture by the anti-treatyites gave the government the pretext to begin shelling the forecourts. Sean McKeown, Michael Collins' right-hand man. Rory O'Connor, a member of the forecourts garrison who was executed during the Civil War by Richard Mulcahy. And here Cathal Brugha also died in one of the earliest engagements in the Battle of Dublin during the Civil War. And Lynch died in the closing stages of the Civil War, basically his death effectively beginning to bring the Civil War to an end. So a lot of people who did not survive in the IRL timeline, and we also have Sean Russell, a political officer, would die on board a Nazi submarine in 1940, bringing a radio transmitter back to Ireland to coordinate IRA and Nazi activity. Tom Barry, I think, was anti-treaty. Well, he was chief of staff of the IRA in the late 30s, I think immediately before Russell. We're going to appoint him as the commander of these four, and we're going to put as our field marshal Liam Lynch. He has the light infantry officer stat, and I think if we appoint him to the chief of staff, he also helps with training. Speaking of, I will put these guys at training. Here I've split out our four submarines. I'm going to put them under the command of Admiral Henry H.G. Stoker. So we have a lot of people, especially in terms of naval and aerial affairs, that I would know practically nothing about. But I'm going to put Stoker in charge of the submarines and put them training as well. I get the usual research done. What I believe is the recommended research start. And the other thing then that we want is, of course, to begin atomic research. Oh wait, no it's not, it's this. In terms of civilian factories, we do not have a lot. It's telling us we have 11. 3 of those are from occupation, which I've seen confuse some people. They're basically 3 off-map factories, which are going to disappear very quickly. So effectively we only have 8. We do not have a lot. We'll stick one in Northern Ireland, one in Munster, we'll bring that Munster one up. And we will put some infrastructure in Leinster. We'll put one into Connacht for the fun of it. This is going to take a very, very long time to do. We'll put that northern factory way down to the bottom. When's it actually coming in? 4th of October 36. That's going to be extended because of the loss of those 3 factories quite soon. In terms of production, we have 2 military factories, we have 2 dockyards, so not a whole heap is happening. I don't have the ability to sell convoys, and I think I have enough convoys, so I am going to make 1 or 2 submarines. So this will be automatically assigned to the Holland sub-fleet, named for the creator of the Fenian ram. Some of the submarines that the Fenians were going to use in the 1800s. Might as well ramp that up to 2, so that'll be coming out on the 19th of March. I don't want too many of them, but you know what, it makes the thing go away. And the other thing that'll make the warnings go away, we don't have factories for them, but sure, yeah, whatever. Right. Do I have anything else I want to look at first of all? I suppose we look at this, the decisions. So in 1936, after the War of Independence, we have a 26-county free state that is in external association, which is, in the IRL timeline, exactly what De Valera wanted. He envisaged this as being the only thing that would stave off the Civil War. The British would not accept external association, which was basically a way of getting out of the Oath of Allegiance or the Oath of Fidelity to the British monarchy, and you could view that as one of the main contributors to the Civil War, IRL. So in this timeline, 26-county free state, effectively, with external association. Britain falls to syndicalism. They love trade unions. And Northern Ireland, instead of joining with these dudes, there's George V, the King of Canada. Instead of joining with them, the Unionists asked to join the rest of Ireland, and so we have a 32-county Irish Republic, and Michael Collins's Sinn Féin is being backed up by the UDP, the Ulster Democratic Party, not the Democratic Unionist Party. Oh dear God, no, not the DUP. But basically he's being backed up from the opposition benches by the UDP, so he needs to kind of keep them happy. We don't have a huge amount of decisions to take as yet. Here is the focus tree. Look at all this empty space. Look at all this. So this is, by all accounts, one of the larger, if not one of the largest, decision trees, and it's split up into a number of different areas. We have what is effectively our economic branch, which splits in 3 parts, kind of research, industrialization, and agriculture. These are mutually exclusive, so we can only take agriculture or industrialization. We have something that will not begin until we are dealing with the initial impact of Black Monday, whatever that is. Down here is the military focus, which will not begin until our international relations have begun to be reevaluated, whatever that means. Over here, gateway to the Atlantic. So again, international relations. Era on the world stage. I don't like the constant use of era instead of Ireland. And even worse, actually, is Éireann instead of Irish. So the Éireann Development Bank. So using Éireann in English instead of the word Irish. Not a big fan of that, we'll say. So Ireland on the world stage. And then we have the various branches for the political parties, which will begin after the 1937 election, whatever that is. And then there's one for the communists way out on their own. So the only thing we can do at this stage is begin renovating the Cork-Belfast line, and no doubt we will be able to, in the first year, go down a good chunk of this route. So what would Michael Collins's economic policies have been? They would have been pretty balanced from some speeches he makes in the late 1910s. Not massively different to De Valera. Maybe he wouldn't have gone as gung-ho on protectionism, but protectionism was massively popular. You'll see throughout the 1930s, De Valera receives massive vote counts, and this is due to the popularity of his economic policies. So Collins would probably have followed something similar. but focusing more than likely on agrarianism, and we're going to get the industrial parts of Collins's policy from somewhere else. So we're gonna go down in this route, and we're probably going to get a ton of that done in the early couple of months. And the other thing that I actually forgot to do before starting is going to Metal Europe, which I believe is some kind of a steel conglomerate. I don't know. So we're part of Metal Europe. And what Germany tends to go for is arms exports, which are not of great use to us. Is it industrial projects that I want? That would give us +1 civilian factory. So that is what I'm going to back. It's unlikely that that's what's going to be voted for. We get our first of very many pop-ups. So Michael Collins is on his second term and 7th consecutive year as President of the Republic. And the Irish economy has been realigned away from Britain towards Germany. And then it's kind of talking about how we're dependent on the Ulster Democratic Party. Freedom imposes responsibilities. Oh no, so sad. We're told about the death of King George V of the United Kingdom, its dominions, blah blah blah. And we have our options as to what to do. We could say it's not really our concern. Send the Canadians a private message of our condolences, so we would lose 5 political power or lose 20 political power. Yeah, I can imagine Collins not thinking sensibly and doing something like this. Politics be damned. We will lose our 20 support. I think we're going to gain 30 from it, though. There's Mosley. There's Collins. There's Edward the Vi. So, Collins, we've gained 30. The Unionists aren't actually happy, but James Craig is. And there, like I said, is Mosley. So we have the death of Hugo O'Neill, the head of the Clanaboy O'Neill dynasty. IRL, I don't think he dies until the late 30s. He's the head of the ancient O'Neills, so today in Ireland we have the standing Council of Chiefs and Chieftains, in which many of the old Gaelic aristocracy would be represented. The O'Neills are in there, the current head of the O'Brien family, the Baron Inchiquin, is in there, and a lot of the old Gaelic aristocracy. They had government recognition up until a major scandal in the mid to late, I think it was the 90s. It was under Mary Robinson. So yeah, it'd be the mid to late 90s. And one of the factions can install him, well, his successor, as the King of Ireland. Now, I don't know, was it the O'Neills or the O'Donnells that De Valera, I think it was the O'Neills, that De Valera is alleged to have offered the position of Prince President of the Republic to in the mid-1930s when he was considering his new constitution. The Dev, the main writer of all this, El Daddy, pointed out quite correctly that there's only one source for that, and that is Tim Pat Coogan, who is often said to write like a journalist. He writes history like a journalist, does not cite sources, and does not allow the truth to get in the way of a good story. So we don't really have any sources for whether or not De Valera was going to try and make somebody Prince President of the Republic. But we could do it here. And actually, do you know what? As I mentioned that, we might as well take a look at the parties. I'm not going to go through them all, because I would be here for an hour ranting and raving about the bits that I like and don't like. We have Saor Éire under Peadar O'Donnell, which existed for a very brief period, I think about a year, in the early 1930s. We have the Irish Syndicalist Party under Jim Larkin. We have the Progressive Labour Party under Owen Sheehy Skeffington. The Labour Party under William O'Brien. We have Clann na Talamh, led by Michael Donlan, which formed around 1939, so it's a bit early. I hate this. The National Development Party. We can see somewhere at the top there's a merger of the National Centre Party, and Frank McDermott is in this game. We have reference to Anglo-Irish Community, Wealthy Big Farmers. Wait a minute. Frank McDermott? Anglo-Irish Community, Big Farmers? This is Fine Gael. Led by Sean Lemass. And Sean Lemass turns out to not be very supportive of the nationalist community at one stage. Take Lemass out of this and I like it. Leave Lemass in there and I hate it. On Saor Stoig Christoul, I'll be going into this in a later playthrough. It's socially Fianna Fáil on Christian steroids. That's maybe the way to describe it. There's De Valera at the bottom. So this is Cathal Brugha's party, which changed its name. Sinn Féin. So basically everyone split off from Sinn Féin, which remained in a majority under Collins and Owen McNeill. And then we have Aontas na Siúnta. So this is basically the parliamentarians and the abstentionists is basically the right wing. The blue shirts. All of the mad craziness. That all gets thrown in here into these two groups. So Aontas na Siúnta are the blue shirts under Eoin O'Duffy. I'm not too sure what the motivation for the blue shirts to be formed in this timeline is. And then down here we have the abstentionists under Geróda Chunagóin, who will indeed rename themselves Ultírí na Héisírí at a later stage. Chunagóin was heavily against monarchies and the English language. But here, because they are basically I think they're the integralists, this is where the restoration of the monarchy gets dumped. So it's a kind of an odd mix-em getherum down here with the two Aontas na Siúnta ones. Anyway, that's all for discussions on future playthroughs. So we have the Cork-Belfast line has been done, and we have Black Monday. So this is the Monday morning after a bank holiday. You've had 12 pints of Guinness the night beforehand, and the following morning is known as Black Monday. And yeah, shock. Unprecedented catastrophe. That is indeed a general description of Black Monday. I'm sure that's fine and nothing will pop up about that anymore. We'll never hear from that again. We could begin down the maintain agrarianism line, which is where I would be going next. Add population growth, but you know what? We'll hold off. We'll hold off for a couple of minutes. And while we're holding off, I will just mention I'm not going to bother dealing with this. I don't think it makes a difference. I could get the 4 extra steel from trade. But I'd have to give up a factory. I could leave those factories working on this, but like they're not going to get it done anyway, so I don't know. I'm gonna leave it a while until it starts annoying me. Oh no! Black Monday hits like a storm. It does indeed. It does indeed. Oh wait, no, this isn't a night of heavy drinking. This is an economic crisis. We're going to get hammered on stability for the next while. We're going to get hammered on political power for the next while. Daily political power gain goes up by 0.1. Consumer goods factories factor. I don't know what that means. And I googled what the hell is a factories factor, but nothing actually appeared. So if somebody knows, if you want to type that in the comments below, that'd be awesome. Construction speed is going to go down. Production efficiency is going to go down. A different type of production efficiency is going to go down. Factory output is going to go down. We're not getting any buildings built ever. What are you into now? So it was October 36. It's now September 38. Oh, God. So we have unease in Ulster. What's new, says you? So basically, when Northern Ireland, the 6 counties of Northern Ireland, came into the Republic in this game, Collins, or somebody, guaranteed them what are known as the Ulster Privileges. And that is basically the ability to make the same discriminatory laws that were imposed IRL from the 1920s through to the 1970s. So gerrymandering is in place to maintain artificial unionist majorities in areas where they are in a minority, and they basically have control of industry. We're going to see nationalists getting fired from their jobs soon. I think we're going to see nationalists getting burnt out of their houses soon. So basically, even though Northern Ireland, in air quotes, is part of the Republic, it's still the exact same as what was pretty much going on in our timeline. The unionists are demanding that we prioritise fixing the economic crisis in Ulster ahead of the rest of the country. So they want us to prioritise fixing the economy here in the north instead of here in the south. So they want us to prioritise Northern Ireland instead of what you'd call Southern Ireland. Oh, those devils. So this has opened up the next part of the Ireland focus tree. Not alone has it opened up the next part of the focus tree, it's actually locked off the first part. So we are now completely restricted to this part over here. And we have a couple of different, well, we have 2 major routes that we can go. bail out the northern economy and deal with the economy of the rest of the country. So the unionists want us to go down this path. And this is where you can start to kind of make decisions which might prompt a change of government, if that's what you're aiming for in the 1937 election. We're going to have to start with assess the damages. I'm probably going to go with impose public sector austerity for the extra political power. Get that early. I don't think I'm going to go for emergency taxes. It's going to further hammer stability. Does it matter at this stage? But I'm going to get those two done, and then I'll hop back and forth between these two. I would like to protect southern industry. We're going to have to see what way it goes. We will assess the damages and see just how bad Black Monday was. And just as this window has popped up again, here are the national spirits that we have. Defense of the Republic, so we have extra division attack and defense on our core territory. The Ulster privileges. So discontent of nationalists within Ulster causes a hit to stability. Discontent of Ulster loyalists causes a hit to political gain. And then at the moment, the Ulster loyalists don't fear the Dublin government. Disproportionate loyalist representation, so they've kind of gotten something close to what would have been offered to them in Home Rule deals in the very early 1900s. They have disproportionate representation in Dáil Éireann, and I think they have a guaranteed ministerial position as well. I don't know if they're actually in government or if they're supporting from the opposition benches. Entrenched church influence decreases political power, increases stability. And then we have Black Monday, which has just been added, and we're members of Metal Europe. Maybe it's like a rock band. Maybe they like metal music. I know there's a lot of talk about nat pop in this as well. I'm not a big music fan. There's a couple of synthwave playlists on YouTube that I'd listen to, but is the Wolf Tones nat pop? Is that what you'd call nat pop? I only figured out a couple of nights ago what syndicalist means. It means you like trade unions. That's why, if I'm right, Jim Larkin is a syndicalist, and so is Benito Mussolini. So we have finished assessing the damage. We've taken a look. We're not too sure whether it's as bad as everyone is making it out to be. So we're going to deal with the initial impact of Black Monday, and we're going to gain public sector salary cutbacks, put a tax on women's shoes, and cut back the teachers' pensions. That's what Fine Gael and Cumann Gael, respectively, would have done. So Luan Dubh has taken effect. So if we fail to keep the loyalists on board, as well as fail in starting our economy's recovery, it will have grave consequences for the re-election, which kicks in, I think, in February of 37. So we need to get at least one of these up to appropriate. So the UDP's view of the support that the North has been given is non-existent, and the overall economic recovery is also non-existent. So we need to get at least one of those to appropriate. So the few factories that we have are empty. So 3 off-map civilian factories have been removed. We lose more stability. We lose more political power. And there's a change in popularity for authoritarian democracy, which is what Michael Collins is. So if we go to construction, we will see that we have dropped those +3 factories from occupation are gone. Bye, guys. And this is now up to 1940 before we get a factory built in Munster. We're going to be here a while. So we have imposed public sector austerity. It has no negative consequences. Fantastic. We gain 20 political power per day. So we're absolutely hammered on political power at the moment. And that's going to prevent us from appointing political advisors. So that is a bit of a nuisance. I think we're going to stabilize the punt to begin with. So this will give us initial economic measures. Will give us increased weekly stability. And weekly stability impacts things like political power gain, factory output, dockyard output. So we can see that we are getting -2% political power from our low stability. So we're going to stabilize the punt and then bail out northern industries. So you'll see here the country's perception of the government's efforts to improve the economic crisis will improve. So that's how we're going to get at least one of these to turn green. Hopefully. Oh no, His Holiness the Pope has died. How terrible. Another hit to stability, another hit to political power, another hit to popularity of authoritarian democracy, and a change in popularity for social democracy. And we're off to a new part of the world. There is a new Pope. Pius the 12th has been elected as the new Pope. Good luck, Your Holiness. And what I want to see is if I can ask him for money. Can I get money from our head of faith? License production? Can I just have gold? Actually, I don't think I have enough piety to ask for gold, so it doesn't make a difference. The punt has been stabilized, so factory output plus 4%. And we get some weekly stability, so we'd better go and try and keep these devils happy for a while. We'll get some factory output. Will increase by 10% for a while. More text, and this one is mad. The stitchies and the pennies. So this is a reference to the stickies and the pennies. The division, basically, the official IRA were the stickies and the provisional IRA were the pennies, because of the way that they used to make, which is kind of referenced here, their Easter lilies. So the official IRA had a kind of an adhesive back, and the provisional IRA had pins that they would pin onto your lapel. Now, in this world, that's the IRA. So we don't have the chaos and the calamity that was being caused by the IRA, the anti-treaty faction that did not support De Valera in the 1930s, so that's had to be shifted off onto somebody else, and that's shifted off onto the Blue Shirts and the Irish Citizen Army, which are allied to Saor Éire. So at the moment, they're in a fight with each other. We're going to be told later on that the youth wing of Aontas na Siúnta is led by Gurrod O'Connelloin. I think he gets mentioned, maybe he doesn't get mentioned in here. But yeah, there's basically fights between the Blue Shirts and the ICA. And I lose stability because of that. Damn you and your Easter lilies. We have bailed out the northern industries. And we're going to continue down the northern focus for now. So what we're finding is basically Michael Collins is in a scenario in which he is dependent on the Unionists. In reality, I think if Britain collapsed and Northern Ireland had to come into a southern administration headed by Michael Collins, I think he would have just gone in there with a big stick. That's what he was trying to do IRL. So the idea that he is quite deferential to the Unionists, which is the way it's kind of presented here, it might change later on. But his line here on the Michael Collins side of the Sinn Féin tree is pretty much to back the Unionists to the hilt. Michael Collins did not believe in the existence of a problem that he couldn't solve by shooting it. Alan Bell is trying to shut down all of our bank accounts. What do we do? Shoot him. The British intelligence is running rampant in Dublin. What do we do? Shoot them. General Collins, we're being ambushed. What do we do? Shoot them. But General, they have a vastly superior defensive position. I said shoot them. I'll do it myself. So, I don't know if Collins would... But then again, it's an alternate reality, so maybe Collins has had a change of heart. Or maybe this was his heart all along. We're going to subsidize the landowners. It'll give us one building slot. I think we're going to go for that one first of all. I might get 2 of these done. I don't know will I get all of them done. By which I mean there are 3 options here that we'll have to take if we want to support northern business. And get 1 building slot and 1 civilian factory. I'd rather try and push for this one. So I'd probably jump back to Central Bank, try and get this, which will, because of this symbol, you can only have 1 of the 2 of these. If I could get these 2 as well, we could allay Northern Nationalists. So the UDP's views would improve and we would get increased production efficiency. So I think I'm going to go for this one and this one. There's actually some fairly good stuff over here. We might just have to go straight down in this route and then give those unionists everything else that they want. So houses are being abandoned. Stability has gone down. Political power has gone down. Change of popularity to authoritarian democracy has gone down. So we're being absolutely hammered on whatever that is, political power, which hampers our ability to appoint advisors. Look at this divil. Look at him. So here's a list of the advisors that we could install. Noel Brown, Liam Mellows, who was executed during the Civil War. So here, he is a member of Saor Éire, and he can only be installed if Saor Éire joins. So they've gone down very much the line of Liam Mellows, the lost socialist leader. In reality, Mellows doesn't begin to discuss socialism or to... He only writes about socialism, basically, in his jail letters, which he sends out from his imprisonment during the Civil War. And it's more an attempt to get Labour and the Labour movement on board on the anti-treaty side, as opposed to any actual firmly held convictions by Mellows. So Mellows, as an actual dyed-in-the-wool adherent of Peadar O'Donnell, probably not real. And of course also the fact that his socialism doesn't emerge, if he is a socialist, it doesn't emerge until the Civil War, which never occurred in this universe. We've Sean McBride, we've Hennessy Skeffington, so we could have her and her son in power. We've some interesting figures here. There's W.T. Cosgrave with the National Development Party. There's Frank McDermott with the National Development Party. Harry Boland, killed during the Civil War. His brother Jerry Boland. Kevin O'Higgins, killed in 27. Whee. And Skellig O'Kelly is in there. So we've a ton of mad, crazy individuals, and all these X's mean that we can't appoint any of them because various things haven't happened. So we could put O'Higgins in. And if I had the political power, it's O'Higgins is who we'd be putting in there. I don't think we're going to be getting that political power for a very long time, however. Speaking of Black Monday. So we have subsidised the northern landowners. So we get one extra building slot in Northern Ireland. And what I'm going to go for is empower the central bank. So that is going to give us increased factory output. And will increase daily political power gain. So if we were to go for emergency agricultural bailouts, it would increase stability. Just stability is going to continue to get absolutely hammered. So we will start in this route. So each of these is taking, I think, about 14 days, and we have 112 days to get this sorted before this little playthrough that we have, this little tree that we're going down comes to an end. Because you might be wondering, why don't we just do all of them? So we have a set period of time in which to basically choose which ones to do. The problem is we're going to be hammered on political power, so we're not really going to be able to do any of these. Attempt a backroom deal with the UDP leadership, which we can do because we subsidised the landowners. So this would again increase their standing with us, and we would not gain anything. It would cost us 55 to take the decision. So we need to have 55 political power 14 days before these 112 days run up. Initial attempts at solving this thing are negligible. UDP view our attempts so far as unacceptable. Michael Collins addresses the nation. So it's Easter. We get 20 political power and gain base war support 20%. So we don't really have any mad wars that we're looking to fight right now. But he's convinced everyone. Do you know what? The political support will be handy. It puts us on the way to 55. The central bank has been empowered. What could possibly go wrong? So we now have available as a political advisor Joseph Brennan, who would give us extra political power gain if only we could get him in place. So this would... Railway construction speed. You can build railways in this thing? So the infrastructure construction speed will go up. Again, that doesn't really make a huge difference. We're just going to have to take these, says he, then going over to emergency agricultural bailouts. So there's weekly stability, which would impact political power gain. There is a fine bullock, factory output, construction speed, and there is a factory output. It doesn't make a huge amount of difference. Will this give us production efficiency? Yeah, we'll go for organized northern relief work, and then gonna protect the southern economy. So everyone is unacceptable. We've gone up to unacceptable with everyone. We've 98 days left. So we've a big mad heap of happenings with Sayre Era and the Syndicalists. So totalism and syndicalism. So I think the totalists are the Sayre Era. And we get clashes at Trinity. So basically a lot of the groundwork just being set at the moment for basically the 1937 election. So we have the Northern Relief Works. We're getting 152 a day. We could get to 55. Something else is probably going to happen and mess that up. So we're going to get a civilian factory in Munster. We're going to get some increased construction speed and factory output. And that might bring to an end our attempts to... So that's going to bring us to insufficient with the initial relieving measures. And that could very well be where we call it in terms of attempting to fix the overall economy. So for this option, we've just researched basic machine tools. I think I'm going to go for dispersed industry as opposed to concentrated. Factory output, dockyard output. Yeah, we're going to go for dispersed industry. And here we go. Here are those clashes at Trinity that we were promised. So the pro-integralist wing of Aontas na Siúnta are battling the left-wing Progressive Labour Party. Garolo Cunagoin is there, God help us all. And somebody's a West Brit Cindy. So there you go, we get radical and national populism and the dance hall debate, which is a very interesting one. It has to be said. So southern industries have been protected. The unionists won't be happy. Even if some in the north complain, they should remember the other 5/6 of the island exist too. So we're going to hop back to... I need to have all three to get that done. I'd say that's possibly where this is going to end. So we're going to go for a suppress northern industrial action. See, like I told you, there's no problem that Michael Collins can't fix with a pistol. So we're at insufficient everywhere. Are we barreling towards getting enough political power to enact one of these? I'm not too sure. So here is the dance hall debate, and I've said that I'm not a huge fan of this Saorstoit Christoul presentation of De Valera as a devout Christian, hardline Christian conservative. We're going to see some statements later on where De Valera takes religious stances which are heavily incongruent with the stances and statements and actions that he took IRL. So you might think that the dance hall debates where he's attempting to force regulation, draconian regulation on dance halls, this must also be out of character with De Valera. Nope, this is totally in line with the 1935, what is it, the Regulation of Dance Halls Act. A lot of the presentation of the Christian values of the church and Fianna Fáil's kind of social policy is done well with Saorstoit Christoul, but in other areas it goes a bit too heavy-handed, I think. And here's one of the areas where it does fairly well, and indeed this is a kind of a typically De Valerian initiative, where he's put forward a bill that he pretty much knows is going to be defeated, but does so predominantly to force Sinn Féin to take a stance on the issue, and to allow Saorstoit Christoul to present themselves as the champions of church values and of Christian values. So that's pretty much what's happened here. So we should see a jump for social conservatism. And authoritarian democracy, which is what Collins and Sinn Féin are, they've also gotten a jump, and we get what makes an Irishman. And we're going to have Frank McDermott. So before doing anything else, we'll take a look at Black Monday in Ireland. We're at insufficient with the Unionists and with the economic recovery. We have 49 days. And at 14 days per proposal, or per focus, I think we can get 3 more done. That is if they are all 14 days. So that one is 14 days. So we could get 3 more done. We could get this one, and potentially we could get 2 done over here. So we might as well start with allaying the Northern Nationalists. So Metal Europe has had a summit, it has ended, and if I am correct, where's it gone? We've gone from 8 to 9 factories. I'm not actually too sure. Did we just get that one from Metal Europe, or did we get it from some other things I was doing? We have an extra factory from somewhere. Let's praise Metal Europe. I might actually hold off and see what is going to come up next. Goods factories factor. Actually, where's infrastructure? Sure, we'll go for infrastructure, for the hell of it. Where Ireland leads, Metal Europe will follow. So here we have what makes an Irishman, and here is, if I'm correct, Eoin O'Duffy down in the bottom left. So Frank McDermott of the National Centre Party lost his seat in Dáil Éireann and was given a seat in the Seanad by De Valera, and De Valera had to go in there at one stage basically to counter statements he was making. He was giving out about the teaching of Pidgin Irish. So he's not somebody who's endeared himself to my heart anyway. And it breaks my heart to see Sean Lemass inside a party with him. Market liberalism has gained 1, paternal autocracy has gained 1, and a new force arises. So O'Duffy's doing something. There he is. We have managed to allay the fears of Northern nationalists. So the UDP view the support given to the North as promising. So we're going to have to hope that we get something here. Or we might be in a... Will we be in trouble? I actually don't know. So for our national focus, we don't have an option. We have to go back in this direction. We could go for emergency taxes, gain political power. So I decided to go with just impose public sector austerity instead. If we go for this, then we're going to lose out on at least one of these. These bailouts will increase factory output and weekly stability. If we'd gone with that earlier, it might have been a bit more helpful in terms of the stability gain. But it's the reason that I went with the austerity at the start was hopefully that it would get us enough political power that we might be able to push through one of these. I think it would be... I don't think they do anything different. I think they're all the exact same. All they're going to do is improve the standing of the Unionists. I don't want to go to an Orange Order meeting. I think we might just attempt a backroom deal with the UDP if we can get one of those. So here is our problem. We have gotten our bailout, our emergency agricultural bailout, with 21 days remaining. Each of these is going to take 14 days, so I have to hope that within 7 days we get the extra 3 that we need. We should. We're only going to be able to get 1 of these done. I do love a good burger. I think they are actually identical, are they? They are. But I do love a good burger. I think the 3 of them are identical. But I do love a good burger. Soakage. That'll stop Black Monday. Plenty soakage. So we are told that a new force arises. We have Clonatholov under Michael Donlan. And here is William O'Brien of the Labour Party. So Clonatholov, Labour, and the NDP can go into coalition, or Clonatholov, Labour, and other Labour if the 1937 election ends with Labour coming to power, they can form a coalition with either of the two of those. Change of popularity, social liberalism, and social democracy. Right, I'm going to have to be quick on the trigger here. We have 20 days to get together 2 points of political power and prestige. Yes, political prestige, that's what this is. Hell's bells, that is close. We have 16 days. And these will take 14 days. So like I said, we're going to attempt a backroom deal with the UDP leadership. So the UDP views the government's assistance, view on the government's assistance given to the North will improve. So hopefully, it's promising at the moment. There's a big bag of money. Oh, they love big bags of money. So with any luck, we'll actually get that to fire with just 2 days left. It has again tanked our political legitimacy. Political power, there you go. So we have managed to promote burgers. If we check the details, we're looking at, to get anything else done, is going to take us 14 days. I think we can build up 10 days worth of, whatever you'd call it, save 10 days of focus use. And this is going to get done in 7 days. So I don't know, is there any point in doing anything else? We're not going to be able to start any of these. And we're not going to be able to instead go across to any of these. Is it worth storing up the 10 points? I think it'll take 10 political power as well. I'm going to just store up the points, because we can't actually get any of these done in the couple of days that are left to us. So the initial measures island-wide are promising. And we're going to see if we can get a backroom deal done in 2 days. And will that elevate us to appropriate? It does indeed, just before them divils come stomping down, giving out. That's all they do be doing. So the dust clears on Black Monday. So while the government succeeded in addressing loyalist clamour and keeping a state of calm in Ulster, the shockwaves were felt elsewhere on the island. We're left open to accusations of having put a loyalist interest first over the rest of the nation. Everyone's unhappy that we're not managing to convince people that our focus on Ulster was a calculated initiative to maintain our political support. I mean, to protect to protect Ireland's industries. Yeah, that's why we did this. And I think it says that we could have done a lot worse. The reality is, though, Sinn Féin could have done a lot worse by than aiding their supporters in the Dáil, and their regime looks to run somewhat smoothly until the next election. We gain stability, and we gain some political power. Loyalist anger will decrease, nationalist discontent will increase. Decreasing stability, dear God. So now that Black Monday has been dealt with, the rest of this tree has been closed off, and we can return to our economic focus. I'm going to maintain agrarianism. Now, we're going to get some factories from this route, but most of our economic power, or our industrialization, will maybe, if everything goes well on the next episode, come from a different source. And having survived that major economic crisis, that is as good a place as any to leave it for this episode. Michael Collins continues to hold power and has eased his route to re-election in the 1937 election with his handling of the feed of pints that Europe had on Black Monday. If there's anything that you would like to see me go over, any of the politics or the history in the Kaiserreich mod, do drop it below in the comment section. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode, and I hope that you will join me on the next one, because I will need you to vote early and vote often.